Hi, my name is Julia Morgan. I was born on January 20th, 1872, and I am the second oldest of 3 boys and 2 girls. I know a little bit about my mother and father. My father sailed around the Cape Horn but came back east to marry my mother. My grandparents weren't exactly happy about the marriage, but they figured that they wanted my mother, Eliza, to do what she wants to do on her own. And that was a good decision too, or else I, Julia Morgan, would not be here. After the marriage, my father decided to move west because he thought he could make a fortune in the minerals there. So he moved west with my mother and had my older brother Parmalee. Then, soon after, they had me. After they had me, they decided to move to Oakland because my father failed in making a fortune. So they moved back to Oakland, and I was raised there. We had servants around the house, but my mother gave me and Parmalee chores to teach us responsibility. Soon my brothers Mark and Gardner were born, and then I decided that I wanted to give up the dream of being a doctor and become an architect. One day when I was dusting the railing, I said to myself, when I get older, I'm going to, when I design houses, I'm going to decide to not design any railings for little girls to dust. And so that's just what I did. And I didn't design any railings. And for everybody had an outside job except me, and I was very jealous of that. So I went to UC Berkeley when I got to college, and I graduated there with a degree in civil engineering. Then one of my instructors noticed I had a mathematical interest and wanted to be an architect, and he forwarded me to a school in Paris. I moved to Paris, but they rejected me because I was a girl. Soon I convinced them that I was a good architect, and I showed them some of my designs. They were convinced, and I got into the school. I graduated there with a degree too, and I became an architect. I designed over 700 buildings in my 47-year career, and some of my accomplishments were designing Hearst Castle, one of the most famous houses today, and it is a 174-room mansion built just for the Hearst family. And guess what? They called that house small. So also one of my achievements were designing the Fairmont Hotel after the San Francisco earthquake. I also designed a bell tower for a very well-known church. That was one of my first accomplishments in my career. Also, I designed Mr. Leonard's house, a teacher at Williams Elementary School. Everybody noticed my talent, and they wanted me to do a bunch of stuff for them. So I was the first architect of California, and I was very well known, and I was popular for that reason. I died on February 2nd, 1957, and to this day, my legacy still lives on. I won a couple gold medals even after I'm gone, so people can remember me. I encourage a lot of people to follow their dreams, to make everybody know that their dreams can come true. Thank you.
Hi, my name is James Marshall. I was born in 1810 in New Jersey. I had a good education and was taught as a carpenter by my father. In the 1830s, I went to Missouri. Then I went to Oregon and worked as a carpenter there. After a long wet winter, I went to California and worked for John Sutter. I made furniture and tools, and I also made other things that could be made with wood. In 1846, I worked for John C. Fremont in the Bear Flag Rebellion. In 1847, I went back to work for John Sutter and formed a partnership with him to make a sawmill in the American River. When I was checking back on my finished sawmill, I discovered gold in the American River. The gold rush quickly began. I was never rich though, but I did discover gold. when I was hungry for food, I headed towards the hills and wandered around for I wandered around for a couple of years. Then the California State Legislature gave a pension of $200 a month to me for 2 years. I used the money to move to Coloma and be a blacksmith there, and make a blacksmith shop. I worked as a blacksmith there until my death on 1885.
Hello, my name is Cesar Estrada Chavez. I was born March 31st, 1927. I was a Mexican-American labor leader who used nonviolent methods to fight the rights for migrant farm workers in the southwestern U.S. Migrant farm workers are people who do farm labor, moving from farm to farm and from town to town as their work is needed. Migrant farm workers were paid very little. It was also dangerous to work in the farms because there was chemicals out there that had to kill bugs and made many people sick. I, Cesar Chavez, found a group that helps farm workers' rights and getting paid. I led many national boycotts and helped many other people. As migrant farm workers, we went out on strikes and refused to eat until we got the right. Lawmakers helped us, but never really succeeded. I, as Cesar Chavez, was thrown in jail many times for fighting against what I believed. I served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. When I returned back, I had 8 children, and I married Helen Flabia in 1948. I eventually had 31 grandchildren, and I even have many days. I have a day named after me. I have a movie that is called Cesar Chavez, an American Hero. I hope you enjoyed listening to me about my story and how I helped.
Hello, my name is Jessie Benton Fremont. I was born on May 31st, 1824 in Lexington, Virginia. In early life, I went to St. Louis and then to Washington for early education. My father thought that education was very important, and he made me wise in the ways of politics. In St. Louis, I went to a French primary school and became fluent in the language. In Washington, I went to a girls' private school. In Washington, I met John C. Fremont. On October 21st, 1841, I married John C. Fremont. On March 1849, I started out for an expedition of my own. I had decided to move to ranchland in California. When I got there, I wrote many books and articles about John C. Fremont's journeys, which made him and his scout Kit Carson famous. When I also arrived in California, I played a very active role in John C. Fremont's career when he also became interested in politics. I went to meetings, met visitors, and many more. After he died, I went to live with my daughter Elizabeth, and then a group of California women bought a home for me, which I lived in until my death in Los Angeles. I died on December 27th, 1902.
If y'all want to get closer and take pictures, you may, and then I'll get right with it.